So I was meant to fit the TTRS clutch onto my Mark V Golf GTI during the week. However, some Japanese bloke came and needed one for his Edition 30, so he managed to get that. So thanks very much, Stephen, you pinched me clutch. Got over it pretty quickly, to be fair though, I made his car mint. So anyway, my Mark V Golf GTI is on the ramp, ready to go for it. TTRS clutch is going in, I'll show you that now. For a Mark V GTI consists of an LUK dual mass flywheel, Sachs 240mm clutch plate, a TTRS cover plate, that's basically the important bit, the bit that changes, and then also a Sachs concentric slave, and I've also got all the new hardware for the flywheel bolts. This is actually the TTRS clutch plate that we don't use, so we'll chuck this away. It's a shame to waste it, but it is what it is. We need that cover plate for the conversion, and the reason that we use a TTRS cover plate is that it can hold more torque, it has more clamping force, plus it retains a very, very similar stock OEM pedal feel. A lot of the uprated clutches, you get a much heavier pedal, and to be honest, it doesn't suit the Mark V in my opinion. You need, you know, a nice actuating clutch for a daily driver. All right if you're going on track and all the rest of it, but yeah, I want a nice OEM stock pedal feel. TTRS clutch conversion is available from all good retailers, including Decimal Tents, but anyway, let's bash on. So the beauty about this is basically it's an OEM clutch install, so I'm gonna have to take wheel off, under tray, arch liner, all that sort of metal-y stuff there, big gearboxy thing. Brew first obviously, I mean it is the morning. Wheel off, hub nut, arch liners, I can now see the gearbox, but before I do anything down here, I'm going to take it down and I'm going to do the top side first. Right, the obvious things, the intake's got to come off, the battery box and the battery's got to come off. Simple as that, and now the selector and the starter. The only thing that's left connected up top now is the gearbox bolts and the clutch line. I'll just leave that for now. Car's up in the air, I'll get underneath, I'll get the drive shafts disconnected. Right, it's a tight squeeze, but you can actually get this drive shaft out on a Mark V, which is nice because it frees up loads of space here. So that's both the drive shafts disconnected, offside shaft disconnected, and there. Near side is completely removed. Piece of here, so I've got dog bolt to get out, sump bolts to take out. Car's back down, time to get bracing. So now I want to take out the two bolts for the gearbox and then the gearbox mount. The clutch light can just go in a rubber glove, cable tied and then tucked away. Time for the gearbox mount. Oh, feisty one this one is. Take the strain. So that's the clutch line, the mount, everything off the gearbox is just one bolt. That's right, one bolt holding this whole thing together. So let's get it up. Let's get that one bolt out. And that, my little pedigree chums, is the bolt. Now let's get that out. You ever seen a grown man cry? No? Stick around. Might happen in a minute. Gearbox is coming out. So that's the box separated from the engine. Just need to gently lower it down out of here. Gearbox is nearly out and the diff is pointing up, which means I can take the H6 bolt off and just remove this drive shaft cup. Makes it 10 times easier. And the reason I do that now is because the diff's up. When I pull the cup out, I'll not lose any oil. Freaking awesome. And there we'll have it. This has actually got an LUK clutch in, so it's probably had a clutch job at some point in its life, which isn't completely surprising, but yeah, that's the clutch. Gearbox completely removed. Let's get this off now. Nice LUK flywheel as well. You can see there has been some slipping marks there. You can see there's some residue, but this actually doesn't look in too bad condition. I mean, some movement on that flywheel, like, you know what it is, that's not too bad though. I mean, what we got there, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's about 5, 6 teeth of movement there, so to be fair, that's just a little toast. And then look at them, I say blue marks. The clutch doesn't actually look too bad at all. to be fair, it doesn't even look that old. But it has been slipping though, which is a shame. And you can see that on the pressure plate as well. It's a shame, real shame. It's probably because of that pressure plate why I'm doing this in the first place. So it's definitely had a clutch in its life and it's been a full LUK kit. And it doesn't actually look that bad apart from the actual slipping mark, so it's a shame, but yeah, it's all going to get replaced now anyway. Might as well upgrade the full lot while I'm here. We're not playing games. While you're in here, it's always good to check for any signs of crank walk. This area here will generally get rubbed away by the flywheel if the crank does have some end float on it, excessive end float because of the thrust washout failure. And then also rear main seal, make sure that's not leaking, because if you're going to do it, now's the time. But this looks absolutely class. And everything in here looks class as well. Yeah, friggin' awesome. So no messing around, let's get the clutch fitted. Bit of brake cleaner. Brake cleaner to get the grease off so this thing beds in nicely. Now we have it, the clutch is fitted. Now if you use a clutch alignment tool for that, then fair play to you, but you really just don't need to. It's actually quite hard to get that off center. You just keep it there and then obviously tighten it down diagonally. Final little torque and we're done. So that's the clutch done. Pretty. Hope to never see that ever again. Last thing before the box goes on, I'm going to swap out the concentric slave cylinder. Perfect time as well to check for input shaft problems, which this box doesn't have. Input shafts are nice and solid, up and down and in and out. Woo! And that's it, the gearbox can go in. It's just as well I had a McDonald's breakfast this morning, so I feel nice and strong. It's time to put the box in the car. So the box is in place now, and to get our bolt in around the back here, we just need to rotate it a little bit. Oh, she's going, she's going. Box is held on by 2 bolts now, so while I'm down here I might as well get all the rest of them on. So the sump bolts, the starter, this bolt here. You notice I just moved the boost pipe just to get a bit more space. I don't know if I covered that before. And we'll also get the drive shafts and all that connected while we're down here. Time for the gearbox cup to go back in. And now this shaft. And now before I do anything else, I want to take the brace off because I quite like getting the gearbox on its mounts so it's solid. You know, I haven't got any fear of anything moving around if I move some price, something, anything like that. So that brace is off next. The gearbox is back on its mounts now, which is friggin' awesome. Bolts are all in, so it's solid. Obviously brace removed. So now it's just a case of literally connecting stuff up. So finalise the drive shafts, the dog bone mount, selector, starter motor. It's all just like little bits and bobs. I'll be done it in no time. Third brew of the job. And it's going pretty good. The awesome thing about doing these on a Mark V is that you don't actually have to disconnect any lower arms or anything like that, so the geometry stays exactly the same. But I've got everything done underneath here, stuff like drive shafts, dog bone mounts, starter motors on. I just need to do this boost pipe, a few brackets, and then we'll head back upstairs. I don't think I filmed all of it, but if you missed any of it, you can probably get caught up, you know, off S&D, because they do most of my work anyway, you know. Right, clutch is bled, so selector on, battery box on, intake. Right, that's it. I think I'll leave that there because I've got some tools to put away. And I'll not be testing this now until tomorrow morning because I'm kind of jammed in. We are jam-packed, lots of work on. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Obviously in the video it'll be like 2 seconds later, you know what I mean? Like some edit or something, like some transition, some fade or yeah. Ooh! Should I really be getting excited about how a clutch pedal feels? And that's the best part of a TTRS clutch, to be honest. The bite is really, really nice. It's a really positive feeling pedal. You know, like the stock Mark V pedal can be a bit flat, can be a bit light. You don't really actually feel the bite, you just feel it in the car, whereas on this pedal it's quite a real positive bite. It like you can actually feel the springs changing sort of position, you know, on the cover plate. It's a really, really good positive feel, but it's still pretty OEM feeling. I love them, honestly. We do clutches all day long here, and for me personally, unless you're going full, you know, big turbo stage 3 kind of setup where you want like a real beefy clutch, and then you're just gonna have to sacrifice some of the pedal feel. Unless you're doing that, you stay in stage 1, you stay in stage 2, stage 2 plus. The TTRS clutch is the one to go for. There's no heavy pedal, it doesn't feel heavier than the rest of them, it keeps all the pedals balanced. The bite is mint, and obviously it holds torque, so I mean it's just a win-win for me. Down to brass tacks, the TTRS clutch setup is going to cost you about 1100 quid. It's a couple hundred quid more than a stock Mark V setup using the full flywheel and everything, but it's absolutely worth it, especially if you've got any sort of performance tuning in mind. Then you're going to have to factor in about 400 quid install costs at any decent place. A big chunk of that's the dual mass flywheel and the concentric slave and all the genuine bolts to put it together, but it's so worth doing because if you skimp on that, honestly, it just, every time you touch a clutch and then you don't replace a part of it, I find it just doesn't go back together that well. It really doesn't. In like a month's time, 2 months time, 3 months time, that clutch will start slipping or it'll start knocking. The dual mass flywheel's just been disturbed. So personally, I think if you're gonna go and you're gonna do it, do the full whack. It's expensive, but you just don't want to go back to that. I think that'll do for this video. TTRS clutch install into my Mark V GTI. Now I have to go and put some miles on it before it then sees the dyno again. So I'm still on the wastegate map. I'm going to put a good few hundred miles on it, and then we're going to go full send. It's taken a while to get to this point, but hopefully this demonstrates that sometimes the road is a little bumpy. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, anything like that, give us a shout. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.